why do you need acid in your stomach? So when you're starting to repair your body from illness and aging, the first thing that we ever look at is your digestive system. We make sure your parotid glands are working. That has to do with detoxification. You might be taking parotid PMG for that. But we really look at the digestion in your stomach. So the standard American diet means that you're probably not making enough acid in your stomach. A lot of people are not making enough acid, but the mainstream idea is that you're making too much acid. When you eat food, it goes down your esophagus, goes through a little flap, and ends up in your stomach. Well, that flap gets all messed up, especially if you don't have enough acid in your stomach. So when we're working on getting you off of Prilosec or any of the acid reducing drugs, Tums, anything like that, we're going to start soothing your stomach and increasing the acid, the hydrochloric acid specifically in your stomach. So the acid is going to kill bacteria. So if you go out to eat and you're prone to getting sick to your stomach from going out to eat, or you go on a trip and that you don't have enough acid in there, that acid is literally there to kill parasites. It is also there to kill bad bacteria. So if you get H. pylori is a name that you might or might not be familiar with. It's one of the most common names for bacteria and getting a wound in your stomach. So that can be quite painful, but that's from having not enough acid in your stomach. So it makes it an opportunistic environment in your stomach. The bacteria will actually produce folate, but if you have bad bacterial overgrowth, you'll also possibly have diarrhea, IBS, upset stomach. If you have chronically low levels, so we know that as people get older, you might not know this, my parents are older and need vitamin B12 shots. And a lot of times that is needed because when you don't have enough acid in your stomach, you're also not digesting protein. And if you're not digesting protein, you're not going to be getting the B12 that you need for your muscles, for your neurological system. That's brain function, that's energy. So B12 is a deficiency is a lot of times what happens when you don't have enough energy. And if you're taking any of those acid suppressing drugs, then you're likely not going to be digesting your proteins. You're not going to have enough protein in your body. You're not going to have this B12. Zinc is something else that is linked to muscle degeneration and blindness. I believe there's a couple of studies on zinc being related to blindness, and you're not absorbing or able to utilize zinc if you don't have enough acid in your stomach. You might have bad breath as well if you don't have enough acid in your stomach and you're not digesting your nutrients, especially if you're eating lots of protein. Then you're just not digesting it. So it's basically going bad in your stomach. Something men might be interested in, ladies too, of course, is not having enough acid in your stomach is linked to erectile dysfunction, because you'll have a lower nitric acid in your body, which is linked to blood, 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 is linked to blood flow, which you need to have an erection. Nutrient deficiencies, including B12, calcium, and magnesium. And then there's actually endothelial dysfunction. Your endothelium is what lines your blood vessels. And so if you do not have sufficient strength in your endothelium, then you're going to have decreased blood flow, which of course is also linked to heart issues. Some diseases are starting to do research on that could be linked to deficient stomach acid includes osteoporosis. And so that's a whole other topic, because if you're popping Tums, that is not the kind of calcium. So there's calcium in there. That's not the type of calcium that is used for bone building. It actually downstream, it has the opposite effect. That is a topic for another day. Let me know if you want me to go into that. Celiac disease is linked to it, allergies, eczema, gallbladder issues, lupus, macular degeneration is also linked to it, and Raynaud's syndrome, so that's where your fingers get really, really cold and can turn white, rheumatoid arthritis, there's ulcerative colitis, there's more, but everything really starts upstream in your stomach, and your stomach's right there, so that's where you would be feeling most of the discomfort. So if you have acid reflux, there's a really good chance that it's actually going to be not enough acid being produced. And of course, if you suppress it even more, there's no acid to be digesting in your body, and that is a big problem. So what to do about it? My go-to has been standard process Gastrex and Zypan. Why? Gastrex works as a poultice. The poultice is where you take herbs and you create basically a pack that you would put on a wound, and it would help, the herbs would help heal the wound, and then it's also nothing else could get in to create infection on there. So Gastrex I've used to create a poultice, basically going all the way down into your stomach and into your small intestines. So that would need to be taken 2 to 15 minutes prior to eating, because you want that coating to be on there before you eat. Of course, if you forget, just get it in, because some is better than none. So rule of thumb, if you're not getting muscle tested for this, rule of thumb is 2 before every time you eat. So if you're a grazer, I would just keep popping that, especially if you have low acid. So 2 pills, 2 to 15 minutes before any meal. And then if you're having 3 meals a day, it would be 3 times. If you're intermittent fasting and having 1 or 2 meals, it would be 1 or 2 times. And you might take a little bit more if you're having really big meals at that time. Okay, so that's the Gastrex. Next, you would also take Zypan. And Zypan has 2 very important ingredients in it for repairing and creating that acid production in the stomach again, because you've really got to wake that up and make it big enough that it can prevent the acid reflux and that little flap in your stomach from dysfunctional. So Zypan has hydrochloric acid in it, it has okra in it, it has pepsin in it, and those 2 are the magic combination in your stomach for having that stomach acid to be balanced. And same thing with if you're not having it muscle tested, then I would do 2 with your meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Depending on how bad it is, you might take it every time you eat some food. The worse you eat, the more you need. There's foods that just suppress that acid. It's going to be all your sugars and your alcohols, and anything with an OL on it is considered an alcohol. So erythritol, just because it's a health food or in a health food store does not mean it's going to help your stomach acid. So you would take that Zypan with your food. And that has, like I said, the pepsid in it, and it has the hydrochloric acid as well as some other ingredients in there to really help support your digestive system. So those are from standard process. Now, what I like about working with these is that the Gastrex really goes in ahead of time to really support the stomach in relaxing and feeling better, and it's creating that barrier or somewhat of a barrier between the stomach and the acid as you're getting your body used to having that. Doctors Food Research has Digestive, which works like Zypan, and I don't have enough experience with it yet to know how exactly to work with it, because they don't have something that's exactly Gastrex. They do say that Digestive works instead of Gastrex, so it might be, we still have to figure this out. It might be that you take 1 before you eat and then take another one with your food, so it can do both actions, but I don't know yet. If you figure that out or play with that, let me know. The thing I like about doctors' research is some people's bodies, if you've worked on really having pure food and really working on keeping your diet pure, people respond really well to doctors' research. So those are the main supplements. If your diet is not ideal and you don't want to have an ideal diet, then I would definitely go with the Gastrix and the Zypan to just start getting that working. I know that other people are going to be watching this. If you're working with me directly, what we're doing is muscle testing specifically what your body needs to recover in the most painless way possible. Because if you put too much in too fast, it can cause a lot of pain. And probably what we're starting with is the Gastrix and the Zypan. We might start with just the Gastrix, depending on how many years you've been on the Prilosec. And then we add the Zypan in and we work on the diet. I see that a lot of people, they need more vegetables, not necessarily raw vegetables, because that can be aggravating to the stomach as well, but vegetables like broccoli, steamed or baked in the oven, broccoli, any of your cruciferous vegetables. So your root vegetables can be really good for helping with that acid reflux, replenishment of the acid in your stomach, and doing it in a way that's really natural and good for you. There's also homemade applesauce that can be good for helping replenish the stomach acid. So there are different options, but definitely getting it specified and to how your body is operating and going to recover, considering your diet. Everybody eats a different diet. So making sure that it's very specific to you is the most painless way and the simplest way to get that acid working again in your stomach. Let me know if you're not one of my patients. Let me know how it's going. If you decide to experiment with this, let us know so other people can know as well what's working, what's not working, what's helped you the most. Let me know if you have any questions, and like and share if you think anybody would find this information useful or helpful. I'll see you next time.